Alright, so this is our 5th video in the local SEO training series, and in this video we're going to go over some tools that we can use to help us in our marketing efforts. So I want to go through a handful of different tools here. Some I use a lot, some I don't use that much, but can be helpful, especially when you're up and getting started. And so I'm just going to go through a lot of them. I'm not a huge tools fan. Some of them, it can be quite expensive on a month-to-month basis. And so they're there to use if it's helpful and you like them. Some of them offer, free but limited. Anyway, so just keep that as a note. They can be helpful when needed, but don't think that you have to go out there and buy a whole bunch of tools to do your marketing. It can just make your life a little bit easier, so it kind of depends on what's more important to you, your time or your cash. Sometimes it's just easier to pay someone else to do it or to use their tools to help you do your job. So I'll leave that portion up to you, but here's a handful of tools that I've gathered over the years and use on and off. And there's tons more out there, but these are kind of some of the highlighted ones that I thought I'd bring up. And I'll kind of go through, they're in no particular order, but what they're useful for and how we can use them to build our business. So this first one is Pingdom. I like this a lot. I actually use it to monitor they have another service that I use to monitor some of my websites to tell me if they ever go down. So if my website crashes, they'll send me an email and say, hey, your website's down. And I've done that for some different clients that they're pretty sensitive about their website always being live, and so if it goes down, I get notified immediately so I can get in there and figure out what's going on and get it fixed. Okay, well, and one of their free tools is a website speed test. I like this one just because I used it a lot. And it gives me information, a lot of good information. Google also has their own speed test, so you can type in Google website speed test and it'll pop it up, but this one's been my favorite. So we can throw in, I probably ought to pick a random website here. Let's look up, this one's going to pick one out of random. Let's see if we can pick. Trying to think of someone that's small in a local business. Spray and coat paint. And let's pick this one. They look like a small little business here. Okay, so I'm going to copy that. I don't want to see what their website looks like, but let's go over here to Pingdom. I'm going to paste that URL in, and you can pick where you want it tested from. It's Boise, but I don't. Depending on if you're a local business, you want to pick the site closest to you. If you're in e-commerce, you might want to know, well, I'm in the West Coast, how long is it going to take it to load in New York City? So I'm just going to leave it at Texas, and we're going to say start test, okay? Now this is going to go through and run a performance analysis on that website. Now just note, don't take everything as is, because sometimes their load times are way out of whack. Sometimes they're way high, sometimes they're slow. But you can get a pretty general idea, and that may take a little bit here to run and go through and analyze. I apologize, my internet's actually running a bit slow today. So I'm going to move on to the next tool, a couple of tools, and we'll come back to this, why this is running a speed test check. Okay, so the next other tool is this iPicky. It's a really easy editing software if you don't have any type of graphical software. And you just need something really, really fast done, like a crop, a resize, a rotate, just basic photo editing. This is a pretty easy, simple tool. I should have probably clicked on this earlier, but I don't think you have to create an account. But if you want to create an account, you can create an account and then you can sign in and it'll save some of your information. But you can make designs, you can create collages. So it's a really easy way if you want to create a collage. They've got all these little tools over here you can create collages with, and you might be saying, well, I'm trying to do some local SEO. What in the world do I need photo editing for? Well, blogs is probably one of the biggest thing. Social media. We haven't talked a lot about social media. It's a pretty good indicator to use as, again, a backlink. But they also have what they call social element. I haven't really talked a lot about that. But everyone kind of knows you need somewhat of a social media presence, and just be consistent with it. Post, you know, even if you post once a month, post once a month, just be consistent. But I like this because you can create little collages, and it's really fast, really easy. You can create some really weird ones, and then you just upload some add images, drag and drop them in the squares. Simple, easy. And if you want to just, you know, if you just need to crop an image, you can do that type of stuff too. Okay, so that's a really easy tool if you don't have any other type of software. You don't want to go spend $400 for some Adobe Illustrator or whatever. Okay, the other one I like is Canva. We use this a lot. I've even used it to publish catalogs for, you know, product catalogs. It does a pretty decent job. And it's the nice thing I like about it. It has a lot of, these are just pre-done samples. So I want some social media posts, you know, Pinterest, and they have some pre-designed sizes, so they're already kind of optimized for those programs. You know, Instagram, it's square, annoyingly, but you know, Twitter, and so you can say, well, I'm going to do a Facebook post. Click on it, and it's going to pop open a design here. I guess I don't need to show you how to use the software. It's pretty self-explanatory, drag and drop. But you can actually create teams with it and share your designs. If you get really advanced, you'll have to pay for it. But all in all, I use it a lot and I don't pay for it. So this is another way if you want some more advanced artwork for like blog headers, or, you know, even people have done menus in here, or if you want to do just really anything a little bit more graphically advanced, I really like this. It works pretty dang well. So let's go back to our website tool. Oh, it crashed. Hold on. All right, sorry, I had to pause it and get it to work there. I'm trying to upload some stuff on my computer, and it's internet's running slow, and it kind of aired out there. Anyway, so here's the pingdom test. So I ended up running through California to get it to run the second time there. But it gave a performance grade of, you know, 99, which is awesome. A load time under a second, awesome. You know, I don't know how accurate this is, but it says faster than 93% of sites ever tested through this system. Page size 1 megabyte. This is pretty dang good. If you keep it under a megabyte, that's awesome. I say 3 megabytes is kind of max. I wouldn't go over 3 megabytes in size. And what determines that is obviously your photos, and just how much, mainly photos, or how good a quality the website has been coded. If it's not been coded very well, it's going to take a lot longer than that. Okay, and requests, 40 requests, and I'll kind of explain what that means a little bit. This gets a little technical, but anyway, so then it kind of gives some performance insight using browser caching, minimize redirects, you know, minimize sizes, specify cache, you know, and so they've done a good job. Whoever put this website together has done a pretty good job in terms of the performance of the website. And that's all this does, is this kind of gives you an idea of the performance. Okay, and then it comes down to content size by content type. So images is 73% of their website is images, which totals, you know, 700 kilobytes. And then it goes through scripts, which is code, other, CSS, which is more code, and HTML, which is more code. Okay, typically images is always going to be your major portion of a website. And then you have request by content type. And this is a request is a file. So if we scroll down here, it gives you a timeline. So this shows which file, when it started, when it loaded, etc., and gives you a whole timeline here. So each of these files, a website simply is a bunch of files. There's a JPEG, an image, an image, an image, an image. Okay, this is what they call CSS. This is what makes the web page look the way it does. You know, then they have JavaScript and a whole bunch of other different coding languages, which are just mumbo jumbo for most people. You know, let your web guide typically handle that. You know, if you have more questions about the specific codes, you know, again, send us an email, info@dreammtn.services, and we can go a little bit more detail if you're curious about this. But long story short, the requests is the more requests, the more individual files that your website needs to load, the longer it's going to take. So 40, not bad. A lot of e-commerce, you're going to be up in the 70s to 90s, even over. You know, the lower you keep this number, the better. Okay. Anyway, so I like this tool. This gives you, if your website's taking over 3 seconds, this is the critical thing I check, is if it takes over 3 seconds to load, you've already lost about 30 to 40% of your traffic. Okay, big problem. In our society, people are not willing to wait for a slow website. So I don't care what SEO you do. If your website sucks in its speed, you're throwing away 30% of everything that you do. Just throw it in the trash. So you're going to spend $1,000, you might as well put $300 in garbage. You know, in essence, to put it in numbers for you, that's what it comes down to. You've got to keep your load time minimal. I'd say under 2 seconds. 3 minimum, under 3. Over 3, I don't remember the exact numbers now, but I think it's like 40% of traffic drops off at 3 seconds. So use this. Just do a good double check. Make sure your website's loading. If it's not, like I said again, this will tell you what's taking all the bandwidth. You know, what's by file size, what's taking so much freaking bandwidth of downloading. And I almost guarantee every dang time it's going to be images. If it's not, if it's code, your website person didn't do their job right. Okay, so like I said, all in all, this company actually had to pick random out of the blue. Not bad. Okay, so just remember that, tools.pingdom.com. I'll put all of these as a link in the bottom of the video. Okay, so now getting on to some more of the other technical. This is SEMRush. This is one of those ones I was saying is kind of expensive. I think upwards to $80 a month for the minimum packages. I haven't looked at it in a while. But they give you a lot of helpful information. Let's just keep on using the same domain, and let's see what it pulls up here. So this will give you a lot of information about backlinks, keywords. It can even give you some competitor information, traffic analysis, all kinds of fun stuff. Don't get too lost in the data. Data's fun. It can show you some things, but the data is not always everything. So don't waste your time here. Okay. So organic search, it gives you, he's not doing that great. Organically, he's only getting 2 organic searches, and not that great. Paid search, he's not doing any paid advertising, so that's blank. Display advertising, which display advertising is going to be picture advertising versus just a text advertising, and then backlinks. So he's got a total of 20 backlinks. So this guy was on the front page. Remember we just randomly searched for him? Let's go back. He's at the 3rd map pack. And I believe, I forgot the domain now. Bar Painting, Idaho. Okay. I thought maybe he was at the top, but maybe he's not. Oh, Bar Painting right there. Okay. So he's with 20 backlinks. He's on the front page. He's not as good as he could be. He really should be up here. But for only 20 backlinks, he's not doing too bad. Okay. So you can dive way down into this data, top organic keywords: house painting Boise, Boise painters, painting bar, the Idaho painter, paintings Boise, Idaho. This goes back to, again, you can use this for keywords ideas. Look at the different variations of painting, house painting. Those are your top keywords for one. Is that where you want your traffic from? House painting Boise. Well, that sounds like it's a pretty good traffic. That's what you want. Okay, and it says cost per click. This is an average what you're going to pay if you want to pay for advertising. You're going to pay over $5 for every time someone clicks on that ad if you run an ad using this keyword. Okay, that adds up in a sure hurry. Okay, that will get really, really expensive. And that's not even an expensive one. I mean, that's a mediocre. I've seen some where they're, $20, $30 a click. And in some companies, they can be profitable to run ads that way. But the more you do organically, the less you have to cough out money in that direction. Okay. Main organic competitors. So these are the main competitors that are competing for the words that he has. Well, Thumbtack, Yelp, Angie's List. Okay. Those are 3 massive companies. Okay, well, here's this is a competitor, and I believe that's probably a competitor. Okay, here's something to note. Don't get too worried when you go back and you start looking These are just some other helpful tips. Sorry to deviate, but when you start looking at Home Advisor, Thumbtack, you're going, well, those are massive companies. I can't compete with them. False. Okay, that's false. And maybe this is just more my opinion, and from a little bit of my experience, but Google always favors a local business over somebody like Thumbtack. Okay, if you are a good quality business with some, you did your SEO good, you've just organized and everything's right, they're more willing to send customers to you than to Thumbtack and Home Advisor, because you're going to be more relevant. You're exactly what the homeowner or the customer is looking for. You can compete with these guys. Not in marketing dollars, heavens no. I mean, these guys have probably millions. But don't give up and say, well, all is lost. They're doing, they got way too much money or whatever. Google will always favor the local guys over these basic, run-of-the-mill websites. They'll always probably still be there on the home page or first page, but it doesn't mean with some effort you can't be right around them or above them. Okay, so don't give up on that. I'm losing my spot here. Okay. Anyway, so this is a really nice tool. Referring domains. This is where people are coming from. So U.S. business info, that could be a listing. There's a backlink, so someone's, that could be a citation that's sending traffic your way. It looks like it's actually European by the IP address, but it doesn't mean it doesn't apply to the United States. This is a directory, so this guy's put himself in some directories, okay? Well, he's getting a backlink from that. It looks like most of these are just directly listings, or where a lot of his backlinks are coming from. And there's a whole bunch of more, you can really dive down into it. You can do analytics on the keywords. You can do more backlink information. If you want specific on organic research, you can click there. Anyways, this is a fun tool. You can get a lot of information for this for free, okay? You just have a limited number of searches, I think, per month. And you can only search, I think, 3 times or 3 domains in a month, and that's it. And then you have to pay for it. But for the average guy, check it once a month. Big deal, okay? Not a big problem there. It could be a helpful tool that you don't actually have to pay for. Majestic, very similar. Let's go ahead and pop in a domain here. Majestic will give you a lot of this similar information as SEMRush. Okay. External backlinks, referring domains, referring IPs, and subnets. I wouldn't worry too much about that. IPs, I wouldn't really too much. But this is, external backlinks and referring domains. Okay. So according to this one, he's got 271 backlinks, but from only 24 different domains. Okay. So then they've got some more, here's some basic information. It shows some of their backlinks that they're getting. And, that's about it. So it's a lot simpler and not as complex. We can go back over here to backlinks. And it'll give you a little bit more information specifically on backlinks. So you have to create a free account to get some more information, yada yada. That's up to you if you want to go that in depth. But that's another tool that you can use. Okay. Now that I'm going to get into some citation. Oh, I'm going to actually swap. Sorry. So this is Spyfu. Again, don't waste a ton of time on this, but it can be kind of fun. So you can type in your competitors. I just used the same domain because I had it there, but you can type in your competitors' domains. Okay, and this will do an analytics on their domain, and it'll give you information on what they're paying for ads, what their ranking keywords are, etc. So it can be kind of interesting just to see what if your competitor's doing better than you in the search engines. Well, maybe pop their domain in here and see what they're doing better at. They've been ranking history back their first results in Google for 7 years. I've only been around for 2 years. They're going to outrank you. Most likely, I shouldn't say that, but in a lot of ways they might outrank you because just time makes a big difference. Okay, they're not paying for any AdWords. They don't really, according to this, they're not really getting a whole lot of organic clicks. Top organic competitors. So these are the other people that are competing with them organically for the same keywords. And again, so just some more information. You can use it as needed, but it can help, organic ranking history. So it'll kind of show you, how many organic rankings you're getting there. But that's kind of a fun one to use. Again, use it as you need it. I like it a lot of times if I'm going to run AdWords to see what they're paying for. If anybody is paying for ads, and you can kind of see what keywords they're find value paying for. Okay, so that's Spyfu. Now I'm going to go to local here. So this is Whitespark. Okay, top local citations by source of country. So I'm going to say, well, we're in America, and here we have the top 50 citation source in the United States. Okay, we talked about creating citations. Voila, there's the first 50 you should go after. There's some of the top influencing. Some of them costs, D&B. I probably wouldn't worry about that one. Facebook, anybody can get Facebook. Yelp, Yellow Pages, local, Yahoo Local, Super Pages, Foursquare. I believe they can be hard to get into and really expensive. So some of these you might not go directly to. I'll show you some other ways to get in them that's not quite so expensive. I think these guys charge I don't remember if this one or not, but it's like $400. Again, Thumbtack. If you're that type of company, put your information in Thumbtack. It might be worth it. Angie's List, it's a good spot to get. So these are some of the top 50 citation sources. They also have some other tools that you can use. And some of them are paid, some of them are not, but they're a pretty decent company, Whitespark, and so you can find citation finders. They can show you where you're at. You can do a local rank tracker. I believe you have to pay for that one. Reputation builder, link prospector. A lot of these you have to pay for it. Here's their free tools, which pretty much aren't really that great, but you can browse through that. I just like it because it gives you those top 50 citations. If you haven't done any, there's a good place to start targeting. Okay. This is also for citations. It's called BrightLocal. I think it's a fairly new company, but I really like them because, as I mentioned, say you don't have time to do citations. Well, hire them. I think it's $2 a citation. Well, there you go. You can afford, if you pay $50 a month, that's 25 citations a month, and you don't ever have to worry about it. They do them for you. Okay. They also have some. They do some testing, and they'll typically give you some analysts for free. Do their 14-day trial to get started. See that if you are an existing company and have some citations, this is a good way to see what citations you have and how accurate they are. Okay, it'll tell you if they're accurate or not a lot of times, and then you can hire them to go in there and fix them all for you. Okay, so that's a good one to look at. The other one to look at is Moz Local, and I don't know why. Let's try to go back home here. So it's moz.com/local. Okay, you can enter in. This is where I talk another listing checker. This was brush above. What was it? Brush above. That's a long name. Brush above the rest painting. Okay. Postal code. What's their postal code? Let's go to contact. See if we can pull it out here. See? Fail. They don't even have their address. Terrible. Okay. This is a bad example. You want your address. So I don't know what their zip code's going to be. I don't know all Boise zip codes. We might have to pick a different one, but here it is. Okay, so this is going to do a search, and it'll check the listing. Hopefully it works this time. Looks like I aired out last time. It was just sitting there. Alright, sorry, I paused the video just so you didn't have to sit there and wait for it to analyze. But so we type in the company and the zip code, and if you have multiple, 11 more results hidden, show more results. Okay, well, this shows a whole bunch of stitch and snip quilt shops, stitch and snip, stitching, and then some of these get really random, which I don't know why they even showed up. But so we have Stitch and Snip in Garden Valley, Stitch and Snip in Ohio, a bunch of them. Well, what you're looking for is, are there a bunch of Stitch and Snips with random information very similar to this but different? Okay, if there is, we got a problem. This doesn't look like it, so I'm only seeing really one that I pulled up, and this is our actual business. So we're going to select that business, and if it does pull up a bunch of it looks like your business, and it has a bunch of jumbled information or different phone numbers or different addresses, that's when you need to start planning. Okay, well, we got to go clean up citations because they're all sorts of screwy. Okay, so here's the current what they score you on your local citation score. Okay, how accurate it is, who knows, but it can give you kind of a gist of where you're at. 86, not too bad. Okay, so it says it found it on Google, found it on Facebook. They did not find it on Foursquare. That's because it cost, most likely. And then it goes through these major networks on where it's been found and where it hasn't been. Okay, so they have these percentages, and a lot of times that's completeness. It says 95% incomplete, 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 incomplete. And that could be as stupid as a photo. Who knows what's missing. And so that just does kind of a basic free analysis. So you can come in here and click on your incompletes, add 3 more photos, add 1 more category, add 1 more photo, add 2 more categories. So as you can tell, they're not necessarily incomplete per se, but you didn't fully optimize them. I mean, if you can have 5 photos, by all means, put 5 photos. Okay? Come up with something. Don't leave empty real estate. You're getting a listing, use it. Okay? And you can use some of the same images over and over again if not a big problem. It's not like content, and I don't know if I mentioned this in the content tab. Never, ever, ever, under no circumstances, ever copy, plagiarize, or reuse the same content. If it's on the online once in one medium, don't ever use it somewhere else. Okay? It will add no value. The worst case scenario, it just adds no value. Or best case scenario, it adds no value. But worst case, you can get blocked by Google, you can get sued, just don't go that route. Okay? But when it comes to images, it's not as big of a deal to reuse images. Never reuse content. Always do new content. Inconsistent. That's amazing. Your information is exactly the same on all major search engines. Awesome. That's what we want. Okay? Always what we want to see. We don't want to see inconsistencies. Duplicates, and it didn't pull up any duplicates. Okay? So this business is actually in pretty good standing, which is great because it's my mother's. But anyways, so this tool I really, really like. That gives you really good analytics, kind of gives you a good bird's eye view of what you need to do in terms of your citation plan. Okay, from there, if you want to use BrightLocal and you can pay them their $2 per citation, go for it. Moz takes a slightly different approach. Okay, this is one of the ways I was saying is if you go over here and it says Foursquare not complete. Okay, well, you can go over to Moz, and I think they upped their pricing. It used to be $50 a year. I think it's now like $80 a year. Yeah, $100 a year per listing, and a listing is a business. Okay, or you can pay $9 per month if you want it, and they will go through and submit your listing, your citations, to a whole slew of different citation source directories. Okay, and they go to what they call directory aggregators, where they're a directory that then sends it to a whole bunch of other directories. So one note is, again, it's a easy, you don't have to worry about it. Just pay them their $9 a month and they just handle it. But just know it takes, from the studies I've seen, significantly longer for these citations to populate. So it's kind of a good long road. The other note is I do believe, unless they've updated their policy, that if you ever do cancel and you stop paying them their $100 a year, they reserve the right to remove those citations. So it's kind of up to you what you want to do, but the nice thing is they will get you on that Foursquare, which typically is $100. They have, again, Moz is awesome. They have some really good partnerships. Okay, so that's a really good tool if you just want a, I don't want to even think about it, citations plan. They're a great way to go. Okay, so that's kind of it for citations. I'm going to go through kind of wrapping back to keywords. So this is Google AdWords. This is an account here. There's no campaigns on this one. This is kind of a blank account. But what I want to show you is if you go to Tools, and if you don't have an AdWords account, just go create one. Not a big deal. Just go to Tools, and then go to Keyword Planner. Again, these tools, don't geek out, as they like to say it. Don't go too crazy with it. But if you're struggling for keywords to use and you just don't know what keywords to use when you're writing content, or what keywords you want to target, search for new keywords using a phrase, website, or category. Take your competitor's website. Let's see, we've got a website. Let's paste that in there. So let's get some ideas. It'll go through and crawl that website. House painting, painting contractors, house painters, exterior house paint, exterior paint, professional painters, commercial painting, paint house, home painting, exterior painter. Yeah. Oh boy, it can go on for days. 700 words were found. Okay. The nice thing about this is it shows average monthly searches, competition, started bid, etc. Average monthly searches, from what I have found on a local level, these are not very accurate. And house painting, yeah, there might be house painting searched 27,000 times in a month, but house painting Boise, or house painting Utah, or house painting Seattle. Note that you want to, if you're a local company, localize your keywords. I think I may have forgotten to mention that in the content area, but localize. Use your town, use your state. Add those in with your keywords. House painting Utah, house painting in Utah, Utah house painting. Okay. Use those variations as you write your content. If you're trying to, that's a Utah-wide. If you're in a specific city, pick a city, or whatever city you mainly operate in. Okay, so this is a good tool that you can use, and that's if you want to use a landing page. If you go back, you can type in keywords. Okay, if we do this, it'll also give you search volume, data and trends, and you can multiply keywords into lists and get new keywords. So this is another way. If you have a keyword, you can type them all in here and get forecasts and search volumes, and you can kind of get an idea for that. I don't pay a whole lot of attention to search volumes and all of that information. The part that can sometimes be handy is it can give you competition. How competitive is this word? Oh, this has got fairly high, low. Okay. Well, I've got supposedly that many searches and it's a low competition, but then I have this many searches and it's a medium competition. Okay. Well, painting contractors versus paint house. Okay. And the cost, look at the cost difference. Well, that paint house may not be the actual customer you want. It may or may not, but that's where it can give you is your competition levels. This word will be a lot easier to gain a higher ranking on than this keyword will, or this keyword. Okay, that's kind of nice, and it also gives you an idea. You can look at the price. In the end, Google charges, the more competitive, the more they're going to charge for that keyword. So the higher the cost, the more competitive it is. Commercial painting, that's a pretty high cost. I may not want to use that keyword. Maybe let's find some other more less competitive keywords to focus on in my industry. So that's where you can use the keyword planner. Again, don't geek out. Don't go too extravagant. You can waste hours on it. Just get some ideas, get a general drift. I don't typically actually use this a lot. I just use the Google bar technique that I showed you earlier. But if you're struggling to come up with more ideas, this is a good way to do it. As I said, over 700 different keyword combinations. So use that one. Okay, the last one I'm going to show you, again, this can get very, very technical. Don't go too crazy with it, but this is called Screaming Frog SEO Spider. Okay, this is a downloadable program. You could just go to their website, and I'll link that in the video. But this program will kind of do analysis of a website up to 500 pages for free. Say, I'm going to go ahead and start this and let this run. And it depends on how many pages they have and how long it'll take, but it's not that big of a website. So we got it all, okay? So what it did is it went and crawled like a Google computer, or a Google bot, as they call them, is when the Google goes out and tries to index web pages, they crawl it, they look at the whole web page. Well, these are the same thing. It's crawling it and finding all the URLs possible. This is all of them, okay? Well, you can come over here and say, I want the URLs, and it'll show you all of them. And it'll tell you what content type. Okay, well, we only want page titles. So you see how I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I've got 6 pages, but look at all these URLs. Well, that's because some of them are CSS, some of them are JavaScript. You might have, there's some images. It literally searches everything. But what you want to use it for is page titles, meta description, H1 tags, and H2 tags. Okay, so this is where we have a problem, I would say, personally. There's some scenarios where you can have multiple H1 tags, but typically speaking, you don't want multiple H1 tags. Well, they have 2 H1 tags on, I think, their homepage. Okay, not ideal. Why is free estimate? I would not make that an H1 tag personally. And these are kind of boring H1 tags. They could have done better. Contact, services, free estimate, gallery. Get a little more creative than that. I guess it kind of tells you what the page is, but it's kind of blah. Okay, so H2s, you can have as many H2s as you want, so that's not a big deal, but it'll tell you what they are. Okay, keywords, you can tell they didn't waste their time with it. They're blank because no one cares. Meta descriptions. Oh, looky there. They didn't even put meta descriptions in their web page. Okay, not huge. It's not going to break the bank, but I would, if you're trying to squeak out everything you can get, write some descriptions. Okay, page titles. This is what we talked about. This is the title that's, at the top of the page right here. That's these page titles. Okay, and they're kind of boring again, just like their H1 tags. A lot of softwares, if they're automated, like your e-commerce softwares, your H1 tag will become your title tag unless you overwrite it. Just a tidbit to keep a note. Anyways, that's about all I like this tool for. Don't go crazy. Don't get overwhelmed. It can help you with your titles, your description, and your H1s. And I like it because it'll help me automatically know if I've got too many H1s on a page, and then I go, oh shoot, I gotta go back to that page and fix. Somehow that got marked as an H1. Let's fix that. Okay, then it'll give you a length, so it'll tell you your character length. So try to keep it again under that 60 to 70 characters. Okay, so that is the main tools that I use, and there's a lot of them. This was kind of a long video and went through a lot of different tools. You don't have to use them all. You don't have to use any of them. But if you get stuck or need some extra help or some information, from your website or your competitors, here's a handful of tools to help you do that.